What is confidence? Confidence is when you really believe in your ability in a certain area, and you therefore just sort of flow into that state very comfortably, energetically. Now, you can be confident in some things, or you can be confident in totality in what you could then go on and do. Because you'll say you're very confident in your own ability. You might be confident in yourself, like Michael Jordan was confident in himself in pretty much all sports, if you'd asked him. He went on to play baseball, right? And if you'd asked him, what do you think of your chances of playing baseball? Yeah, I'm sure I haven't followed Michael Jordan's career, but I'm sure he would have said that he thinks he's only doing it because he believes he's got a chance at going all the way, right? So confident you can be in one thing, or you can be confident in general. You can still be confident and know you won't be good at something, but you're just sort of oozing a kind of confidence in all areas, right? Now you have people that aren't confident at all. They might even have incredible talent, but they're not confident. I've seen that many times with people. You see that with many incredible people that you think, my God, how are they not confident? They're unbelievable. I remember especially with like musicians, classical musicians, pianists, violinists, not very confident. And I would think, how can you not be confident? If you just played now, everyone would stop in awe, right? And it's because they're like behavioral traits that we pick up in life and they then develop. You get people that are very confident with very low talent. I mean, that's what social media is all about these days. You've got people that are extremely confident with pretty low IQ and pretty low ability. If you think of a lot of those sort of bro podcasters, they're basically just repackaging very basic concepts in life and saying it with enthusiasm that 15-year-old boys who haven't heard lots of different things then think, wow, that's inspiring. 90% of the clips that people send me from podcasts aren't very inspiring at all. I'd probably go as far as 98. I don't even listen to many podcasts. I try and read. I try and search out videos, documentaries, specialist things on areas where I look at someone who's been in a field for 20, 30 years and I think this is going to be interesting. Instead of some bro guy who's decided confidently he's going from being a crypto bro to being a diet bro, zero interest in basically speaking to people like that in general, let alone sitting at home listening to the advice. It's basic nightclub talk. It's really not got much there. But because these things get so many likes and shared so much, people view them like they're profound. And it's not. It's confidence where they haven't seen the errors of their ways. Now, think of so many things like that. How many people invest in the stock market? Loads. And how many people lose a fortune in the stock market? Loads. How many people trade crypto? Loads. How many lose fortunes? More than make money. Why? Because the apps favor the people that trade constantly because they make a commission on that, the platform. So therefore, the people who haven't got a great trading ability go on there, use a lot of margin and end up getting wiped out. I see those people come into calls. It's very easy to fall into that trap, especially when a neighbor says, I've just 100x'd on my money. And then there's that FOMO in. So realistically, you can be very confident, but do something completely wrong, right? So you want to have confidence where confidence is due. You want to be sort of confident, but cautious, right? Because then you're going to go about your life very well with a sort of taking risks, but cautiously. I remember once I was speaking to a guy from India who was working on a sort of night watch job on a building. And I walked in the entrance and I got speaking to him for about 10, 15 minutes. And he said to me, I said, when did you move to the UK? He said, oh, I moved to the UK last year, whatever. He said, I had an accident the year before. And I said, what did you do? And he said, oh, I jumped into a whirlpool. And I thought, what the hell? How does that even happen? I said, how did that even happen? He said, oh, well, I was standing on this river with my friends on a bridge, and the water was running in this section which goes round like a whirlpool, and then it sort of like goes then under the bridge. And I was like, so what? Some kind of like sort of section in the water that's going to pull you under? Yeah. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, why would you jump in that? He's like, oh, it looked fun. Like, I thought that it would just sort of pull me under fast and I'd come out and everyone would clap on the other side. I said, so you saw no one go in it and it could instantly lead to death? Yes, but I thought take the risk for the fun of my mates clapping. And I said, what happened? Somebody saved me, but I had an injury. I was like, I can't even comprehend how that situation occurs. Right. So that situation has come about from a confidence egged on by a group to then doing something absolutely stupid. Right. And I remember listening to the entrepreneur Theo Paphitis from the Dragon's Den. He said that when he was 12 years old, he grew up in this council estate, and he said kids were, I won't get this right because it was years ago I saw this, something like jumping out the window with a pillowcase or something, using it as a parachute. And some kid jumped out or something like that. And I've probably got this wrong, so I can't remember if it was over a staircase or out the window or whatever, and then got very badly injured. And he realised at that point it wasn't worth taking the risk. And he realised that he had to think through things logically and weigh that up. And that was a key changing pivotal moment in his life. I have had pivotal moments in my life where there's been things where you then reflect and don't do those things because of maybe an accident in sport, an accident in the gym, a relationship, whatever, right? Humans are set up to make mistakes and become confident in dangerous situations due to how their brain chemistry works. How often do people get drunk and have terrible accidents? Loads. What happens? They get very confident when they're most vulnerable. Climbing up scaffolding, jumping into a bus shelter is what happens to people when they're drunk in the UK, right? On a Friday night. And then they go to A&E and they had an accident. They think, why did I do that? Well, you did that because of the confidence, the loss of fear, and what you get from alcohol. So your goal is to become confident, but cautiously. And also to be aware that when you feel very confident in life, in your own ability, you've got a long way to go. And people don't like to hear that because they get a bunch of yes men around them, particularly when they're doing well in something. So when you then say to them, hey, you've still got a long way to go, they don't like to hear that. And that's what happens with athletes. They're at the top, they think they're invincible, then it all goes wrong. And it's very easy for that to happen. You see it particularly when you have an athlete who's been like, say, heavyweight champion of the world for a long time, and then someone comes up and beats them and they weren't expecting it, right? Why does that happen? One has gone from a hard life to a luxury, comfortable life, and then the guy coming up has only known hard. And that's how he gets toppled, right? So in life, you've got to expect that when you are very confident, you're also vulnerable because you may overlook things. And that's the same as I tell people with life in general, in business, in relationships, in anything. When people are overly confident is when things can go wrong. Whenever anything's going really, really well for me, and I've had my fair share of ups as well as had my fair share of downs, I always consciously make an effort to tell myself, things are going great. That means now you may overlook things and things may go bad, right? In any area of life. And when things are going bad and it feels like it will never go good, telling myself, hey, things will roar out good at some point and you can't expect it. You could use the analogy of crypto for that, right? Of course, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin like many people. I think it's going to change things. I don't trade crypto or anything, but I hold Bitcoin, have for a while, because I believe in it in terms of it giving humans freedom instead of sort of corrupt banking systems taking freedom away from humans and governments exploiting. And so I think that that's a great thing. Now, when Bitcoin crashed 90% or whatever, how many people were looking to go out and buy Bitcoin? The same as in World War II, when houses had been bombed and prices were down. How many people went out to buy property? People did, and they became very wealthy. But people didn't rush to do that because it feels wrong. If when Bitcoin went down to 15,000, you said to people, you're going to buy a lot of Bitcoin. People were like, yeah, but it could go down to 5,000. It's almost like you've got to go against your own instinct, right? To really sort of, in the phrase, buy when blood is on the streets. And the actual full quote of that is, buy when blood is on the streets, even if it's your own. That's the full quote. And that's a key quote for a lot of things in life. In your life, you are living in a spacesuit that's keeping you alive on this rock in outer space. So you want to be confident about your body, physical health, ability. We're all human. But you don't want to be overconfident that you take some crazy risk driving a motorcycle on a bend for a bit of adrenaline and then end up losing your legs. You don't want to go all in on everything like crypto bros or sort of business TikTok bros talk about, because all in means when things go wrong, you're all out. With your relationship, if you think your partner is never going to cheat, never feel bad, loves you endlessly, and nothing's going to go wrong, you're vulnerable. I have seen so many men and women on calls. Oh, my boyfriend would never cheat. My husband would never cheat. Trust me. Trust me. And I'm not talking about ROCD here. I see the stories where people cannot believe their wife has been cheating 3 or 4 times, having sex with 3 or 4 different guys over the course of 2 years, and he is confident should never cheat. And do you know who's at fault in that? A lot of that? Him. Why? No time for her, tired from work, no energy, put nothing into the relationship, and expected that it would all just go along. Vice versa, both sexes, I see the same. So in life, you have got to expect that if you are feeling like everything's going right and it can never go wrong, be aware it can go wrong. And the same when it feels like nothing's working, especially with OCD, I'm so stuck, never going to get better. You don't think I felt like that for years, day in, day out, 24/7, of course. And then I came through the clouds when I least expected, because that's how life goes. Serious injuries I had. Oh my God, the pain is so bad, I'm never going to get over this. Then little by little improvements. And oh my God, 6 months later, can't believe how far I've come. Yeah? That's how you got to think of things in life. Because this world is full of overconfident idiots, right? Not to be too harsh about them, but it is. And you're going to have to go out there and be pretty confident. Because if you're not, right, and you can build that, just think there are other people so much less talented just talking away about nonsense. And people are like, wow. And it blows my mind. The things that people send me. Oh my God. Have you heard, Rob, about this all meat diet for curing anxiety? No. If you said that anywhere, it would be laughed out the room. But because of social media, that stuff gets an audience. Everything that I do with OCD gets contested, gets strength tested every day, 24 hours a day. Why? Because we have the groups, the Facebook groups, where everything I say, if someone thinks, I don't agree with that, they say it. And I can't just disappear and not answer it. So I have to answer everything. So everything I am dealing with is is tested over and over. But then you look at things like a lot of these bro types love like Andrew Tate characters, and they say like, oh, if you just don't believe in anxiety, you be a man, anxiety will go away, and you be tough and go to the gym. Well, let me tell you something. When I was stuck with anxiety and OCD, I went to the gym 7 times a week. I particularly picked the toughest gyms I could find in the country. I was training at Muscle Works in Bethnal Green from about the age of 17, which is probably the top bodybuilding gym in the UK. And I was eating every single meal, 7 meals a day. If I missed one, I would have a panic attack because I felt like that was weakness. Yeah. If you had literally said to me, no exaggeration, if I knew I wasn't going to get tetanus and die, and you gave me a saw, yeah, and you said, like, what are you going to remove to recover, right? I would have really been thinking of doing it because that's what my mindset was like in terms of anger, in terms of I'm not weak, I'm tough, I shouldn't have OCD, it's weakness. I used to say to my therapist at times, she used to say, she was very sort of calm and psychodynamic stuff, which wasn't getting me better. But I remember saying time and time and time again, I just wish I was addicted to something, some substance, because then I'd just chain myself to a radiator and I wouldn't take it. That's what I used to say. I wouldn't take it, and then I'd get better. With OCD, I can't do that. Every time I go tougher and tougher and tougher, I get worse and worse. And she said to me, which was very key, she said, you're trying to be a big, strong tree that blown in the wind and breaks and cracks down. You want to be the smaller tree that bends in the wind and it doesn't get knocked down. The more you're going to the gym is more control. And I thought, that's true. I thought that's too much control. Of course, that didn't get me recovered, but that was an important part. It was too much control. I've got to be tough. I've got to be strong. I've got to be tough. I've got to be strong. You can't win that game with OCD. You can't win that game in life. Look at people who think they're the toughest. What happens? They often go to jail. They often go bankrupt. They often fall out with everyone. The guy who starts a fight with everyone in the street ends up in jail. I start 0 fights. I don't even get in arguments. People knock a drink out of my hand. I say, oh, don't. I say, excuse me, you get me another drink. You see that? So then I escalate it. No, I'm not getting you a drink, mate. Fuck you. And I think, this guy's obviously not the smartest. Where am I getting for this? Nowhere. I don't think, I'm going to have to show pride here. I'm going to have to force this. I think I'm probably dealing with someone who's not the smartest. I'll leave him to walk away. I'll get another drink in a bit. And that's a problem out of my life. I think all the time, I have one brain in my head. I need this for my whole life. I'm not losing this because of some idiot wanting to start a fight in the street or wanting to drive a car fast to impress someone. That is ridiculous. I need to preserve this. I aim to live a long time. I don't want to do ridiculous things. I don't take any drugs. I don't drink much. I give myself the optimum for making sure that brain takes me towards the goals and life I want. And that attitude prevents a lot of problems, right? Because most humans are relying on pride, thinking the universe is going to reward them some way for being proud in that moment. It ain't. You knock out a guy in the pub who knocked over your beer and a couple of friends think you're great. He comes back with a knife and kills you. Dumbest thing out. This is the world we live in. You want to think about the main topic of this video, being confident, but being cautious. Giving yourself the best opportunities in what you're going for in life. Weighing up the risks. Not doing things blindly. There's a reason you don't see funds that manage money going all in on crypto. Okay, yes, you've got likes of, say, Michael Saylor, if you follow Bitcoin, who's gone all in with his company on Bitcoin. But he hasn't. Because although the company is all in purchasing, in the sense of its main thing that it owns and loads of it is Bitcoin, even if the price of Bitcoin drops like 80%, they still don't get liquidated. Yet the crypto exchanges will give young people 75x leverage on a meme coin where it's just basically become a casino. You have to be aware in life, even people who look like they're going all in aren't, right? A boxer, a heavyweight champion, he's careful. It looks like he's going all in, but he's picked the fighter. He's picked how he's gonna fight. He's picked how to use his energy through the later rounds. People think that in life you just blindly go in aggressive and all in. And especially people with nothing to lose do that because they think that's their only way out. But it's not. It's not, right? It's the same with battle. You don't send in every troop and then get ambushed in a section and everyone dies and there's no more troops to go out. And that's the same as recovery. That's why we talk about a one day at a time approach. We talk about balance. We talk about thinking long term. Long term is your goal. Time is key, right? Most human beings, when they can get some job and save some money, as long as they live to 70, are usually in a position where they've got retirement money if they don't come across really hard life circumstances like expensive operations without medical insurance, problems with family that cost a lot of money, things like that, which can easily happen. But they've got a good chance over the long term of being in a position where they have money, some money, and are able to retire, right? But everyone wants things now. And that's the TikTok bro culture. And that's the danger of the all-in culture. And that's why I tell people with recovery, think of it as years, not days, right? That attitude is going to change your life. That doesn't mean you don't get great things now. You do. You can still go on holidays now when you can. You can still go on holiday with anxiety now. Yes, you can. You still have a relationship now. You can still have sex. You can do all that stuff with anxiety, right? But don't expect everything to happen tomorrow, and don't risk everything to make it happen tomorrow. Think of that, right? So you've got to think like, I remember my dad once said to me, he said something like, if we were in a position in the world where it was like all out war with everyone, what would you want to pay the guy who had the boat to get you to safety? And it was a question to make me think, right? And I said something like, oh, I'd want to keep like a diamond or whatever, right? Because you could smuggle it in your mouth or something like that. And he said, yeah, but when you go to give it to that guy, he's going to say to you, he's going to think, is he giving me his last diamond? Or has he got another one? Because he's not going to really want to give away his last one, because what happens if another problem comes along? And that was the problem with anyone that's in those situations, who's smuggled or in war-torn places, those things. People know that in those circumstances, people still have something, right? And that's how humans are. We think longer. We think we've got to think of our survival, right? So in those circumstances, if you were in that situation, you would want to, in some way, still have something in the tank, right? And that's your life is going to be like that. You've got to have something in the tank that when everything goes wrong, you still got something to pull out, right? That is the way you've got to view life, because things are going to go wrong. They're going to go wrong all at once. And that doesn't mean so much control, I'll protect everything for the future, because that also is going to mean you're going to lose all opportunities all along the way. But you've always got to have something in the tank in every area of life.